Blessings, everyone. Today has been both a difficult yet very profound gift. And first, I would like to say thank you to so very many souls. There are a few in particular that I interact with on Twitter that have been angels today for me and reminded me that we're all in this together and we don't have to necessarily walk things always alone, that the direct connection with Source brings us through so much of what we need, but also there is that brother and sisterhood that brings pieces of the puzzle that sometimes are not clear, even when we do connect. Sometimes our lower self gets involved and it can distort what we're seeing, and the grace and wisdom we give each other, because again, we all have pieces of this puzzle, can be that we help bring clarity and love and compassion, and that will never be replaced. That's why we recognize each other here, is because we're all on the journey, many different facets, and there's no greater or lesser than through this. It really is that we're just experiencing a different aspect, sometimes of the very same journeys. There's the same type of lessons we're learning. We're just having our own version of the experience, and we can share that with each other, and that brings clarity. So I thank you so much. You're all so divine and beautiful. Today I'm working with a new crystal, which is a pink amethyst. I absolutely love this. The energy of this is very, very gentle and clear, coming through the angelic realms today. And also they've been guiding me to work with my Lemurian crystal, which is this helps to encompass a lot of the wisdom that we have that comes from some of these lifetimes when our awareness is centered in that loving space. And so if we can use that to connect with what we already know in our higher self, and the crystal energy, the crystals are programmed, excuse me, many of us know this, that part of working with this is to tune into the crystal's energy, and we can receive bits and pieces of this crystal, because I personally have been shown, and this is just my aspect of this, that the crystals find us again. We've worked with a lot of these in the past, and somehow they've magnetized back to us. And so when we reconnect with them, we have programmed them at some point with what we would need later on in the journey. And so not only are we helping others by tuning into that, but we're igniting that frequency. And so it helps assist. It does not replace what we need to do with the space and the energy that we need to get into, but it helps hold the space. And it's kind of like taking a photograph. It attunes our memory to go past what is here in the moment and bring forth that wisdom that we gathered. So I'm being drawn today to do the Angel Prayers Oracle. And I love this deck. This is one of my favorites. I always use it because I feel most attuned to the angelic realms, and they seem to be the ones that come through the most when it comes to matters of the heart. And so I would like to say thank you to Source for allowing me to be a medium of light. And I ask the beautiful angels in their octaves of light to step forward and help me bring a message for the highest good for both my journey and anyone who is open to listening. I thank you. And so also I shuffle the cards 3 times. One is for Source, that brings through Source. Then Spirit, that aligns Spirit, our higher self, and Soul, which is the part of our story, the small part of us, the cup of the ocean of spirit that we carry here, that helps us experience the story that we're telling. Sometimes, okay, just gonna take There are two. The first one is Divine Physician, Archangel Raphael. Thank you, Raphael, for shining your divine light upon my healthy body. And I see the green, that's something that came through today. I kept seeing, I know by the colors, the resonance. I hear the colors as a certain frequency, which helps me to attune the singing bowls. And that's what Raphael is just stepping in and is asking me to explain that first. So when I'm doing the singing bowls and the angels come through, what they're showing me is when you first use the bowls, it has a dissonance. Sometimes the bowl can bring on a headache, or it can sound like it's off. Maybe there's a lot of dragging noises, or it's just not staying a steady resonance. And that lets me know that either it's myself or who I'm working with energetically that is not tuned. And the bowls will do that for us. We have to find the frequency, we tune to it as the bowls are moving, and center into that. We have to be able to raise our frequency to the same frequency, listening and feeling the bowl. And so the heart-centered bowl also is the frequency of health. And so Raphael is stepping forward and saying that we have to be careful, because along with the emotional things that we go through when we're working with the heart chakra, we're also affecting our health, because we know this instinctively, that any emotions settle throughout the body. And so if we're not careful to balance these out and work through them, we can wind up with heart problems, stomach issues, liver, kidney, a plethora of different things that are going on, and where this energy settles. And so we can do muscle testing if we're not sure. I invite you to look that up on the internet, muscle testing. And I find that to be an incredible way to let me know if this is something that I've cleared out already, if the bowls are not giving me the indication that I'm 100% comfortable with. And so Raphael is stepping forward and saying that there has to be an equal balance of this. As we're working through the emotional stuff, we have to also listen to our bodies. There isn't one that takes precedence over the other. Yes, we are spirit, coming here as a soul to expand our consciousness, to return back with source. But we have a physical vessel, and part of being very present is being attuned to that as well. And so the message that I'm hearing for Raphael today is he's walking with all of us that are going through some of the heart-centered challenges. Not only to hear the emotional body and the heart chakra and the different energy centers that get affected by this, to keep the flow moving. Even the mental worlds become affected by this. But also that we become attuned to our bodies, because the most profound care is what we do for our physical vessel, because we must hold it sacred. It's a sacred temple of all that we are. We chose every part of this facet of us, every expression that we're bringing of source, whether it's in the physical embodiment or the light that we shine. It has to be balanced. And so not only are we wanting to take care of our emotional needs, that always feels like this comes first, that's it, because if we're an emotional mess, everything else is going to follow suit. But Raphael is asking us, please, as we're processing the emotions, pay attention to our body, because we may think we got it. Where emotions can become very, very mental, very sentimental, and reactional. We're reacting, sorry, they come so fast and I'm trying to process this. We're reacting from this emotional space. And what Raphael is saying is that there's a difference between reaction, expression, experience, and healing. Because although we need all those previous things to move the emotions, to transmute it. We have to be careful, because as we're going through these levels of the emotions and how it's processing, it's affecting our vessel. And so he's stepping in to say, be mindful. If we believe that we process something very emotional from the heart space, whether it's a love thing or something with anger, fear, any of these very, very strong emotions, we have to check within our bodies. Or are we still having stomach aches? Did we think we've cleared something in a love sense, a romantic expression of love? Have we cleared this away? Have we attuned to it and transmuted it? Are we still having nightmares? Are we having physical problems breathing and pains in our chest physically? So many different things come forward when we're going through this. And so he's stepping forward and asking that we pay attention to that as well, because that will be an indication sometimes that it's not completely cleared. And Archangel Ariel, she is a peaceful warrior. Thank you, Ariel, for helping me stand my ground with peace. And she's her resonance is, it just comes through like a fire from behind and pours over. It's that energy. It feels like a wave of fire and phoenix. And what she's saying is that a lot of times when we're reaching out, that we want to bring our point across because we've been through something, we've had an experience, and we understand the other side of something. But we need to be this warrior in a way that is still loving and compassionate with each other. And we can bring that warrior energy through. We don't have to forego or set aside love. Yes, there's a time and a place for everything. When we see something, she's saying, like a child being hurt or abused, mistreated, that brings through an emotion of anger, and sometimes we need to let that be seen. We connect in that space where we're bringing out a point, where calling someone out in something like this, and we're on social media, as many are, and we're making this point. But she's saying that the warrior energy can also be an embodiment of the energy that does not have to come across that by fire with fire, or violence calls for violence. And we know this. She's saying we know this. But this is a gentle nudge to make sure that, besides being the warrior soul that gathers all the information that we need to make our point, we have to also consider the emotional space that others are in when we're doing this. That maybe there is someone who is not able to process in that moment something like child abuse, and they're not ignoring or neglecting what we're trying to bring to them. We're trying to wake them and bring that awareness, because we're working as the warriors on behalf of the children. But we have to consider that perhaps that they're processing that in that moment is not something that they can do, and we shouldn't become angry with them for that. We have to be more understanding and either pull away. Being a warrior isn't just knowing when to bring the spear forward, but it's also knowing when to sit back and watch and observe and listen to calculate the next move. And so this is what Ariel is bringing through. Be fierce. Be fierce and be the warrior because you know something, not because you're bent on making the point, because the point will get lost then. It's like the great masters, the ascended masters, do not really care to be put out there on a stage and have their name spread with all the information that they give. They always feel that the great teachers have convinced the student that they found that beautiful awareness on their own. That's what they're encouraging. And so it's the same thing with the warrior spirit. The example they're using is with the children, because it's such a powerful and becomes very emotional when we want to protect them, is that along with the fire and the calling out and the information that we're given, standing firm in that. We also have to be able to be the warrior and withdrawing and understanding what the next move is, because we're not going to reach everybody, and we have to be okay with that. Warriors know that lives, and the compassion for others is just as important as the war we're trying to fight. We don't want to take everybody out with our wrath. There's innocent lives, just like the bombing that goes on in Palestine. They're showing me this, that it's taking out innocent lives. There's no need to drop a bomb in the middle of a mass square to make your point, because what is that proving? So she's smiling. She's sending the fire, the energy. She's saying, well, we're the warriors, but it's a different type of war we're fighting now. So they're pulling their energy back, and I thank you so much for allowing me to bring this message through. I hope that in some way this resonates, and take what does, and please leave the rest. There isn't any right way or wrong way of doing this. We're all on a journey together, and we all have the piece of the puzzle, as I said before. And it doesn't matter sometimes who is the messenger. It doesn't. It's the message. Much love, everyone.